Kels.
But I didn't give it to you. That was just... I was just getting a picture. They haven't given me those kind of powers. So it now means you're not a peasant.
Not a peasant, apparently. I can drive sheep over London Bridge. And that's what I was saying to you, because so many people are offering me sheep. If I want sheep, you can get sheep, no problem. And I think they do it every year. They do it every year.
I can get you plenty of sheep where I'm from. I tell you that, yeah.
Yeah, you're in Cumbria, aren't you?
Yeah, we're in Cumbria, plenty.
Farming country.
People are offering me sheep, so it's really nice. It's been a really quite up and down emotional week as well. You know, it's been very good.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Obviously, the weekend. The weekend didn't help.
Did Saturday night affect the emotions
kind of did,
a little bit?
It did, in the end. Are we going to go into that, Kels, or
yeah,
not?
we can do.
Well, the thing about it is that... it's the kind of game...
Celebration.
I would have taken a draw, considering how poorly we played. It wasn't a great game, I think, from both sides. It was very exciting as a spectacle, what could have happened. But in the end, you know, the lack of shots in both penalty boxes showed that it was a very dicey game and one that I would have taken a draw from. But then when you lose in that manner, it felt a little bit like, oh, that was a bit unfair.
Shall we look at the goal?
Yeah, let's look at the goal.
Get that out of the way, because we don't normally like VAR chat, and yet increasingly we're having lots of VAR chat. So Mikel Arteta, we'll hear from him later, but he and Arsenal are complaining that there are 3 different incidents that could have led to this goal being disallowed. If you've not been across this over the weekend...
I don't know where you've been.
You almost certainly are across this, but there's the ball going out of play, there's a potential foul, and there's a potential offside there as well.
Mm.
From your perspective, which of the 3 do you think is the best shout to disallow the goal?
I was saying the ball out of play at first.
We'll come back to that in a second.
I think
so
I'll probably go with the
one?
I think I'm still not happy with the 2 hands on his back.
OK. Is he? Do you think any of them are legitimate claims to disallow the goal?
I understand the claim with Joe Linton on Gabriel in the box, yeah.
Yeah, the same for me. And actually, after the match, both of them spoke about it. And what I found interesting about Joe Linton is he just went, no, it was nothing. And we had, during the season, a lot of decisions against us. So it's good that this one went. Really, we're playing this game now?
That one, look, for me, more is, I think...
Listen, if you break it down, what I think Gabriel is doing in that moment, I think he's trying to protect the space. And that's why it looks worse. He's already fallen himself, so it looks like the 2 hands in his back is a push. I don't think there's enough contact. It could have gone either way.
Right.
It could have gone either way. I just don't know whether there's enough contact in that moment for that to be deemed a foul.
Do you think this is the argument that's been put forward, why Gabriel goes down the way that he does, is that he's leaning forward in order to flick the ball back with his head?
I think that's like... I get that vibe off of it.
Yeah, and also the first thing is, I think Gabriel also thinks his goalkeeper, Ray, is going to get a hand to it. So instead of trying to win the ball, Gabriel, I think he's just trying to protect the space, exactly.
It's a good shout, to be honest, but I do believe that if I'm in there watching that, as a VAR referee, I'm probably looking at the hands on the back, thinking that looks like he's impeded him. Because when you look at the flight of the ball as well, I feel like without the push, he probably gets some form of contact on it.
I mean, it's probably fair to say that if the goal were disallowed on the pitch, it's unlikely for that decision to have been overturned, because what we're hearing is that all 3 incidents, the evidence was inconclusive. So whatever was given on the pitch is what stands. And that's the point with the offside as well, is that there just weren't any opportunities to be able to draw those lines and work out exactly where the contact with the ball happened, so that it was impossible to determine whether the offside decision was right or wrong. And so they had to go with the on-field decision of the assistant referee and the referee. In terms of the ball crossing the line, you were leaning towards that being the most controversial of all 3 of the decisions, until we had a very high-tech explanation earlier.
Yeah. So from here, Kels, it looks like the ball's out, doesn't it?
No, that looks like it's in.
No, but it should be a bit more there then.
No, but that's putting the ball out.
No, Kels. This is exactly how it was for Arsenal. Yeah, this is, definitely ball out. For me, ball out, Kels.
Well, you'll have seen other examples of that on social media, I'm sure, but that one, obviously, is the one that you'll be referring to time and time again.
You know, my argument with that on the other day is That one's annoying for me simply because the ball looks more out when you see it, when we see it down there.
Japan in the World Cup.
Right, exactly what it is. And because we haven't got any conclusive evidence of it, because we can't see it like we saw the Japan one in the end, same with the offside, I think that's something that we need to sort out simply because we can't be having situations in the Premier League where we can't definitely know that that is in or that is offside. So we can't have that. But I thought that because the ball looked more out than in, then we should just give it as out. I thought that because we're talking about, we're trying to measure like...
From that angle.
From that angle, from the angle what we can see at, because we can't see the conclusive angle, then it looks more out than in. I couldn't get my head around that. I was arguing with Dermot here the other day.
If it had been given out, if it was on the field, if the on-field judgment was that the ball had gone out of play, it's unlikely to have been overturned because you couldn't conclusively prove that it was still in play. That's where we are with all three of those decisions. There's no conclusive evidence either way to be able to overturn it.
It's just crazy that the three, in that one goal, there was three incidents that all have been identified as a potential to chalk the goal off, which is fascinating, really.
Yeah, it's true, and that's why Mikel Arteta said what he did afterwards when he was in the press conference, when he was talking about all the reasons that goal could have been disallowed.
Mikel, I think the big talking point from that game, apart from the result, obviously, is going to be the goal. What are your views on Newcastle?
Yeah, we have to talk about the result because we have to talk about how the hell this goal stand up, and it's incredible. I feel embarrassed, but I have to be the one now coming here to try to defend the club and please ask for help because it's an absolute disgrace that this goal is allowed. It's an absolute disgrace.
Why do you think it's a disgrace?
Because it's not a goal. For many reasons, it's not a goal. For more than one reason at least, it's not a goal. And it's too much at stake here. We put so much effort. It's so difficult to compete at this level. And it's an absolute disgrace. Again, I feel embarrassed. I've been more than 20 years in this country, and this is nowhere near the level to describe this as the best league in the world. I am sorry.
Playing devil's advocate, there were pre-checks and the information back from the Scottish
That makes it even worse. Even worse. It makes it even worse. You just need to see one image, c'est fini. And you have any doubt, you look at the second one, and if this is a goal, okay, that's fine then.
They're saying they haven't got camera angles to prove one way or the other.
I don't care, honestly. I don't care what they say. It's the outcome. It's too late. Whatever they say is too late. I don't want to be in the hands of people.
Two referee decisions from the first half that came into focus was the challenge from Kai Havertz, which saw through Newcastle players' box, and also the elbow on Jorginho for Bruno in the first half.
And the penalty on Eddie, and there is a lot of things. We can continue. Yeah.
Sorry, did you think the ball was out for the goal? Was a foul, an offside?
But this is really the question, guys. The question is, it's not a goal. It's simple. It's not a goal.
For which one
simple.
Sorry, for which one of the reasons?
Sorry?
For which one of the three reasons did you not think?
Because for a goal to be allowed, there are certain things prior to that the ball hitting 1 meter from the goal that are not allowed in football. In here, in China, in Japan, in Spain, in Italy, and in Portugal. They are not allowed. That's what happens.
One there from Jonathan. Mikel, we've seen lots of VAR mistakes and then the clubs get an apology afterwards. I mean, it's the point that an apology is no use to you.
Nothing. I have to stand here now and explain. And we lost 3 points today, guys. You know what that means? It's too hard, this league. It's too hard. It's too much at stake. It's embarrassing.
And finally, we'll go to Tom.
How do you now pick the players out? Because obviously they're going to be as frustrated as you are. How do you now...
I have to praise them. It's not in their hands. It's not in their control. I have to praise the players the way they play here and what they did and how much they limit Newcastle to what they did and how much we tried. It's incredible, honestly.
There was some good performances. Williams-Saliba was really strong and impressive. You know, we saw Kai Havertz, I think, probably the strongest performance of the season. What did you make?
That's so much. It's incredible the way this guy played with 21 years old, the way they play here, the way they competed against this team, because they're a top team. Incredible. So to get the game out of that like this, it's just, honestly, I feel sick. That's how I feel. I feel sick to be part of this.
Okay, guys.
I mean, he's not just unhappy with the decision not to award the goal. He's just unhappy with decision-making generally. He's unhappy with refereeing in this country generally. He is just generally very, very
Yeah.
unhappy,
I
Mikel
think this.
Arteta.
Go on,
No,
go on,
you
Iz,
go for
please.
it. You go for it.
No, I was going to say is, I think you can point that to any manager. They're probably all of them, because at some stage, the refereeing this season and the VAR decisions have affected everybody. I think what I would agree with him, with what he said there wholeheartedly, is that there's too much at stake for us to not be able to get these things right when you've got people sitting in front of a screen. If it was just a case where you just see the on field, I'd probably take that. I'd probably take that. But when you've got people up there, you want them to be able to come to the right decision. And I just think that they've failed on that a few times this season.
There's the Tottenham-Liverpool incident with the offside goal that wasn't offside and that wasn't awarded, after which Mikel Arteta, in another video that's been doing the rounds, said, well, we've got to be patient with referees because they're just human beings. They make mistakes, and he was a lot more understanding. It's very different when it's your own team involved. Gary O'Neill has been furious, and with good cause as well. Brighton have had a couple of big decisions. They've had apologies from PGMOL. So it does feel like there have been a lot of these big decisions. And I can't quite work out whether it's because there have been more wrong decisions or more big decisions wrong, or if this increased communication from PGMOL is making the story last a bit longer so they stick in our memories.
It's becoming quite confusing with the language that's being used and the language that we're listening to. And obviously, us as pundits, journalists, you know, we can only comment on what happens on the pitch. So, for example, on Saturday night, the goal's been given. So we're commenting on the goal, OK? But I don't think that... I think Mikel Arteta, I understand what he said, and I agree with you about there's too much at stake. And if you look at the context of Arteta coming second in the league last season, the next thing is he wants to win the league, right? And he's going to look back on this game at the weekend and be like, that's a reason possibly why we didn't win the league. But I don't think what he said is... I don't know why Arsenal have come out with a statement, basically, to back him up. Because
I mean, it's a strong statement as well from them, isn't it?
It's a strong statement, but also he's come out with that, right, as a result of every Premier League manager having a complaint at VAR this season. And I just think he's speaking on behalf, and it feels to me like that's the tipping point. As in, I can't see another Premier League manager going harder than what Arteta did at the weekend. And I think it leaves, you know, it's